Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today it's like the fourth or fifth time I've had this gentleman on the show, and I tell you, he's one of my favorite dudes in bourbon. Like, honestly, there's not many guys that are as nice and as cool and as fun, and he makes some damn fine whiskey. So welcome back to the show, Mr. Mark Carter with Old Carter Whiskey. How we doing, Mark?
I'm doing good, but I don't know who you're talking about when we're doing all that nice talk.
It's a whiskey tickler.
Yeah, and not to mention, Mark brought in Brian Booth. So Brian is a buddy of mine, and I met Brian through Jay Hobb, and then and then now he's been at Old Carter for how long? You been here now?
I've been here since April of 2022.
Has it really been that long?
Damn, man,
that's insane. And you are the club coordinator, director. Yeah. Like so, you basically manage the client experience for the Old Carter Club.
I also handle some, some of the our partnerships through sort of distribution as well. So,
gotcha.
If they have any questions, they give me a call, and I'll let them educate them on our whiskey there.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
And he does a great job at it, I'll tell you.
Appreciate that.
I tell you, one of my favorite things was I had a group of guys coming in out of town, kind of out of the blue, really. They called me like 2 days before they came, and I said, Mark, I'd like to take the guys over to the speakeasy. And he's like, well, he's just call Booth. So I call Booth, and he's like, Mr. Minton. I'm like, dude, Mr. Minton's my dad, like, because he's so prim and proper. I love that about Booth. But
he dresses that way too.
And then he was like,
Dapper, very dapper.
I can make that happen, but I need to talk to Mark. And I'm like, I was like, I wouldn't have called you unless Mark gave me permission. He's like, go ahead, call Mark. So then literally like an hour later, like me and three of my buddies, all out of towners, were all here sitting upstairs drinking some whiskey, and they had the best time, like the absolute best time. So thanks for that, man.
I try to do what I can, how I can for Old Carter, but also for the whiskey.
There we go.
Hey, Brian, so something that or the other Brian, so I'm Brian Phillips, we have Brian Booth. Brian Booth is
Just refer me as Booth.
Booth.
Everybody knows me as Booth.
So your phone number, so the phone number for Old Carter Whiskey is what?
I mean, you just Google it. Google Old Carter Whiskey.
Wait, but when somebody calls that number, where does it go?
It goes directly to me.
Yeah.
Your phone, right?
My
your cell
phone.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You Google Old Carter Whiskey, and that phone number is my phone number.
I've got the Booth phone.
Yeah.
Oh, not the bad phone.
BOOTH, brothers.
Yeah, not the Robin phone, the Booth phone.
That's right. I got the Booth phone. It's like the bat phone, only it's the Booth phone.
The Booth phone. Hey, I like that.
It's brown instead of red.
Yeah, there we go.
Get the color of beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, the amber.
So Mark, I mean, it's been about 18 months since I've been here, and I can't believe it's been that long. But there's a lot that's happened in the last 18 months. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely.
Let's not talk too much about the past, but let's talk about what is Old Carter doing now. What are we going to sip on today, and then what do we expect over the next 6 to 12 months from Old Carter?
Well, we've actually got some great new releases that we have just released. You're going to have, I think, both of them today. The 14 and 15 American Whiskey, they were national releases. And we have a new space that we get to actually make the whiskey, blend the whiskey, store the whiskey, sample the whiskey, which is a big thing for us because now I can actually go and taste all the barrels we have and see how they're coming along and figure out what I'd like to do with them. Do they need more help? Are they ready to go? We weren't able to do that before they were stored at other places because we had a very small spot here at 105 West Market. And at the new facility over on Dixie Highway can store 5,000 barrels. And we have a bottling line there, which makes it much easier. It's all concrete. It was so hard to do anything here. It was all done by hand. We didn't have a forklift. It was all pallet jacks and, like just stackers that we'd use to try to get in and out. Even the back entry to get in here was very difficult and maybe even a little dangerous. We could have hit the gas line and blew the whole place up, But we're so happy to have the new spot, and we're able to do all the new releases, which will be right now I'm working on. We have 9 different distributors. We're working on 2 more to come into our fold around the nation. So if we have 10 to 12 distributors, we do our very small batches, which only go to that distributor. Like you've seen the CA one or the DC one, or you see the Kentucky one. Those are the ones we started with. Then we went to other states. But we're all the way up to actually most of the distributors are up to, the new ones will be 4, batch 4. And there'll be about 1,000 bottles for each one of the distributors, these very small batches. And what I'm working with right now is an 11-year-old whiskey, and a lot of that has been double barreled. And we like to, say what we do, let people know what double barreling and double oaking is. We're double barreling. We take a brand new barrel all the time, and we actually, different char levels, and we put it in there anywhere from 6 months usually to as much as 3 years. And so it gets a lot of different flavors, and that's our spice box and we use. And so those will be coming out, and that's quite a bit of bourbon that we have to blend and have to bottle. And we also are doing a lot of club releases. We've got some single barrels that we're doing, and for the club members, which will be fun.
Those are really fun. One thing I want to say to Mark's, facility, other than here in downtown Louisville, we have up the production. We had to bring everything in-house so we could do it more craft. The one thing that we are still doing is still craft blending. It is still craft, it is Mark's palate in those bottles. I've been with Mark for the past 2 weeks. We've been sampling over 88 barrels, 88 single barrels. They're at Dixie. So the one thing I don't want people to misconstrue is this is still totally craft. We do everything by Mark's palate. I've helped a little bit, but we are still craft. Even we are actually being more craft now that we are having those barrels in our facility, and we can sample those ourselves.
I mean, I'll volunteer as tribute if you need more tasters.
Well, we love that. Come over and I'll have a little blind lined up, and if you guess the ones that we like, then we'll choose that one.
Hey, so for those of you that are listening that are like, oh my God, that sounds like an amazing job to drink through 80 barrels.
That's work.
Over 88.
Yeah, 88. Yeah. So if you have sips of 5 higher proof whiskeys, your palate's feeling it already. So are there things that you all do to prepare to go through the barrels?
It takes you a while to do 88 barrels because you're right. Your palate will get numbed down, and we'll try water. We'll try some crackers, whatever those things we need. But it might take you as much as a week to go through 88 barrels and take tasting notes on every one of the barrels and grade them what you like about it or you don't like about it. So when you go to blend, 5 of these barrels, you pick out of the 88 barrels, 5 different barrels to make your blend. It takes a while.
Yeah. My favorite was the second time I ever had a big conversation with Mark. We actually went back to the apartment. We hung out for a little bit, and he said he had like a little laboratory kit up there. There was like 10 little I guess they were like 200 milliliter bottles, and they are all different batches he was working on. And he said, "Man, this one's great." And he gave me the tasting notes. It said it was yummy and sweet.
Yeah, I'm not much a long tasting notes.
Hey, listen, whatever.
Delicious is the best tasting notes, and if you can put sweet on there, you're always good. You can use a little of that, and
So I've marked Mr. Carter here as the whiskey tickler, and whatever those tasting notes are, he's spot on with them there. For sure.
All right, let's talk about what we're sipping on first here. So this is, you said...
So this is batch 14 American whiskey. So in our little cast here, we're gonna be sampling and tasting on batches 14 and 15 American whiskey. Both are 99% corn, 1% malted barley. All right. Now we'll taste through both of them, and then we'll talk about both of them. But I wanted to just get the foundation there. Understanding what we're doing and what we're tasting. These are both Indiana American whiskeys, so you guys can extrapolate what that really means, especially when I tell you 99% corn, 1% malted barley, so there's hardly any question where those are from. So the one that we're sipping on right now is the American 14. This is a 134.3 proof. Yep. So we're tasting on that one first, so cheers everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Cheers, you
awesome.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
And for the record, we had a couple of warm-ups because you cannot start your evening with
Yeah.
134.3.
There's always the palate acclimators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, so is that your nickname?
Acclimator.
Is that like
I'm-
like regulators,
Yeah.
acclimators, mount
Yes.
up?
Do. All right.
Was that Baby Shark?
Mount up. No.
Oh.
Regulators.
That was regulators.
Yeah, mount up. Dun, 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 dun,
Got
dun,
it.
dun, dun. Yeah.
I love whiskey and what it does to people.
Oh my gosh.
It
Brings out the best in them.
does. Like I wish we had a camera like where you could see how Mr. Booth is dressed.
Oh well, it's not Mister. It's just Booth.
No. Okay. All
My
right.
father's Mr. Booth.
I appreciate that.
Yes, yes, sir.
So he is.
He's way more respect than I
He
do.
is dressed to the nines.
I appreciate that. I dress how whiskey should be tasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, always good on the palate and always a Southern gentleman.
Yep.
There
And
we
always
go.
dapper.
Always dapper on the palate.
I love the word dapper.
Yeah,
I do too.
yeah.
So, Mark, were these double oaked at all?
Yes, always. There's always a percentage of double oaking, double barreling, we should
Double
say.
Double
Barreling.
barreling.
Because, that's what we started with when we did Kentucky Owl and started Kentucky Owl. First thing I did was bring double barreling to all of the products we did with batch 1 to 6. And
Right.
then that sold. But I just love you can never throw too much wood at it seems like, but even
Dun-dun-duns.
I've learned that you have to pull some of that wood back sometimes. Too much is too much for some people.
So to elaborate on what Mr. Carter's talking about, there's always a double barreling aspect to all of our VSBs, which are very small batches, and our small batch whiskeys, whether you're in the club or out in the national distributing area. And what we mean by that is we double barrel a percentage of our barrels in 2, 3, 4, and 5 char from 3 different cooper. Four
we have
different
4 right
cooperages.
now.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
And
4
looking
different
for more.
cooperages?
4 different
Yeah.
cooperages. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I used to say that, and now
Now they get mad. Never mind. I understand.
Now I have more. Now I have more favorites.
Yeah. So
Oh, you don't have favorites. Oh, okay.
I have more. I have more.
Oh,
favorites.
you have more favorites. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know, which I didn't know. So now I've tasted some new barrels that I put in 2 years ago into new barrels, are the juice we're using right now. And I found a couple more, but every time I tell anybody what I like, then they all go out and buy those barrels, and I can't get them. I used to say Speyside, was my favorite, and then I couldn't get Speyside 36-month air dried, barrels. So I got to be careful what I say sometimes.
I
guess.
tasted some crazy double barreled that were Segoen Rose. Those
Well,
things are
those-
crazy.
that is a French oak barrel, and that's actually most of the time Pinot Noir barrels, which
Yeah.
I love. We use those a lot at the winery for a lot of the wines that we use for Petit Syrah because
Right.
it's such a sweet barrel.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you what, it was a fantastic double finished on that one, man. I have no idea, how long it was in there or anything like that. But man, when after trying that Sego, I was like, man, that thing was crazy good.
So, to a little elaboration on what Mr. Carter was talking about there. So, we always use dry aged wood, and we always use toasted heads on all of our barrels, and of course, char of 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, that increases our spice rack
Right.
along with our original barrels too. So, there's a percentage that we do not double oak. That way, we have a larger spice rack for what Mr. Carter can tickle with.
There you go. Well, it's funny how much difference that a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 give off. Some give off butterscotch notes, some give more of those vanilla notes, and then others just give spice, like delicious sweet spice. Like so, it's crazy that when you talk about you guys are using that many variances to make these blends. I think that's really what makes Old Carter special is the fact that you guys are able to kind of mix and meld and throw those together in a wild batch that makes things obviously appeal to the masses. I mean, you guys are selling stuff like crazy.
Well, and it doesn't come by just chance either.
No, I know that.
Yeah, so there's meticulous crafted whiskey that is in those bottles. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time in the barrels. It takes a lot of time crafting those as blending. So That's the one thing I really want the audience to understand and kind of, comprehend really of what a crafted whiskey really is. And we are crafted whiskey, whether it be our rye, American whiskeys, Kentucky whiskeys, bourbons across the board, whether it be Kentucky or Indiana or Tennessee, or we've got some other stuff coming out in the next couple of years that is contracted distilled through a Frankfurt distillery as well that uses our mash bills and things like that.
And that juice is already 8 years old, so it's going to be fun to get those barrels over to us and sample those and see what we can do with them. Some of them already have been actually double barreled again, and so it'll be quite fun to try those. We've got rye, we've got bourbons. So
yeah, we've got I mentioned this on Saturday, and I know
the 5 grain.
The 5 grain. Oh my gosh.
5 grain.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've got a pretty little lady right there with that juice.
Yeah. Everybody says 5 grain. How can you have 5 grain?
Oh, you can have 7 or 8 grains. It's just
you
it's
can
just
have
a matter
as many
of
grains you want to.
yeah. It's just 5 grains you rarely ever hear of. I mean, 4 grains are fairly.
Yes,
They're not super popular, but they're prominent, right? Like there's enough of them out there that you're like, oh yeah. The problem is when most people don't understand is that like oak could be a grain, or it could be a chocolate malt. It could be another type of malt. You could have different types of there's a lot of different things you can mess with.
The one thing that we really try to stick to is tradition.
Right.
So we don't like to mess with a whole lot of malt or anything like that. I mean, we do malted barley and whatever there. But this is 2 types of corn in this one, a white and a yellow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I just want to reiterate that we are more of a traditional kind of whiskey company in that regards. But we also had Mark Carter here with his Carter Cellars, along with Bardstown Bourbon Company, do a little mashup there.
Yeah, that was the fun project. Actually, I learned more on that project than a lot of things we've done because we got to actually use a rickhouse for 14 months. And when you actually, I think, everybody's making great distillate today. And so then it goes into a barrel. And then the wood becomes really the big part of, what that whiskey's going to taste like. And, what wood, what char and all those things. But then where did it go in the rick house? That becomes a big part of it. It's kind of like the vineyard. It's where in the vineyard, what rose, what the sun was like on those, grapes that were growing. So you can relate that rick house to a vineyard and where those, grapes are grown. And by the time we got done in 14 months, we had put 10, barrels we took from the Tokelon vineyard of grapes of Carter Cellars, shipped them out here and to Bardstown, and we made a wonderful blend of basically Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana juice, put it in those barrels, and we put it on the top floor, the middle floor, and the bottom floor of that rick house, and we tasted it every month, and it didn't take us long to figure out what was going on. The top floor, and it was going into summer, all the flavors disappeared to speak of, and all we got was alcohol. And we go, oh my goodness, we're losing our flavors, and we are flavor chasers. We can't lose our flavor. You got to get it off that top floor. So we put it down to the second floor and the bottom floor to finish it. And then we blended those barrels together to make up the Bardstown collaboration with the Carter Cellars. And it was the most interesting thing. I would love to have a rick house and know where my whiskey comes from, from what part of the rick house, because it makes all the difference.
It does. It really does. I mean, for one, you get so much variance in that proof point, right? So the higher in the rick house, you're going to get some higher proof whiskey typically, and the lower, you're going to get a lower. But it gives you a lot more options to blend with, right? And with you being a great blender, that gives you a lot more gunpowder, I guess, would be the best way of putting it. When you're starting to shoot those shots, man, it gives you a lot more gunpowder to run with.
Gets us a lot more ammunition.
What was interesting too about that the blend that we did, it was very low because it was very old. We had 15-year-old Tennessee juice in there that was 98 barrel proof juice. and we did get it up to 104 or 106 by the time we were done. But just because the top brick house, we went up in proof there.
Hey, Mark, question for you. Then I've got one for Brian as well. Sorry, for Booth as well. So as a Brian, it's so hard to call somebody else Brian without. Yeah,
I get it. Us Brian's got to stick together. I understand.
Word.
Homie. Yeah.
Is that kind of like the Ryans?
The Ryans and Brian's and Brian's and Ryans?
Hey, so years ago, I ran a wireless store. We had a Brian, a Ryan, and a Byron.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, yeah. Out of the 5 people that I had working there, we had those 3 names. You want to talk about messed up inbound phone calls.
Right.
Hey, Mark, so the 10 barrels that were shipped out from California, were the barrels emptied and tanked and then rebarreled when they arrived?
It was just the barrels, so they were wrapped, plugged. You put your bung back in, and they were not washed out. So you still had the flavor of the wines that we used and made out in those barrels. And they were one-time used barrels, so brand new oak, French oak that cost, French oak is $1,200 to $1,500 a barrel.
Damn.
Yeah, because it's larger than a normal whiskey barrel.
7 gallons
was
more.
about
We're
to say.
60, not 53.
Bigger's bigger.
It's like 3 or 4 times more money for those barrels. I was so happy when I got here, and barrels were only $300, and I was like, "Oh, I'll buy all you got."
That's a weird mentality when you sit back and think about it. How much more expensive French oak is than American oak? It is crazy.
Right. And Brian, for you, so what was oh my gosh, double barrel versus double oaked?
Yeah, so double barrel versus double oak. Double oak can mean 2 things. One, double oak could mean double barreling, or double oak could mean you put staves in there, you put chips in there, things like that. So one thing I want to differentiate is with our process, with the Carter process, is that we double barrel everything. We don't double oak. We actually double barrel in new charred oak barrels from 2, 3, 4, and 5 char with toasted heads, with wood that is dry aged. So I really want to differentiate, double oaking from double barreling of the Carter process for sure.
So if you've got a 5-barrel batch, you have 5 brand new barrels. The second time around at $300-$400.
No, so we'll get our Mark will sample through original barrels and then barrels that have been double oaked in those 2, 3, 4, and 5 char with toasted heads. So that's what just increases our spice rack, right? There could be bottles that have all double barreling, like what Mark said, or you have a combination of original barrels and barrels that are double oaked in those 2, 3, 4, and 5 char toasted heads from 4 different cooperages.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so that I want to differentiate that for sure. Thank you for that question.
So let's dive batch 15, right? The American whiskey.
Gosh.
That hand it out.
I'm going to interrupt. That should have been whiskey of the year 2023. Batch 15 bourbon was all double barreled batch, and that was just some incredible, rich, beautiful bourbon.
Hey, Brian, the only thing is we never turn anything in to have it rated.
Hey, listen. Whoa.
Do it again.
No. Whoa. Here at Old Carter, come to us. We don't come to you. I'm sorry, not sorry about it.
Fair enough.
We do the juice, and we do the juice well.
There we go.
So
what are we trying next?
So
are we going to the NC1, or you got something else we're going to pour?
No. So we're going to go to. So
15. That was 14.
So we've all tried 14 American.
Yep.
Okay. So you have your tasting notes on that, right?
Yep.
Now we're going to start with. I'm going to just pass it around then.
Yeah.
The tobacco on that 14 was nice.
So for me, it's a very nice creamy. It's sweet. It's got a really nice finish that doesn't break the throat too much. It's got the hug, but not too much. To me, 14 is where it's at for me. But we'll taste through 15 and 14, and then I'll let Mark take the stage on what the differentiation is between the 14 and 15.
So it looks like 15 has quite a few more bottles in it.
Hey, Booth, take some of this out of my glass because it was not meant to be that high.
Jeez, man. All right. Wow. All right. I'll take one for the team.
Wow.
We need to make that a T-shirt.
What a
whiskey team.
sacrifice.
Take one for the whiskey team.
What a sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrifice collateral damage there.
Actually, they're both about the same amount of bottles, believe it or not.
I must have misread it from the
100
angle.
Maybe 100 bottles difference.
Oh,
I
okay.
think one's 32 and one's 33.
So batch 14 is 3321, so 3,321 on batch 14. Okay, batch 15 is 3,300. So 3,300.
So $20, 20 bottles, 21 bottles difference.
Yeah, so both 99% corn. Okay, so the 14, all right, so batch 14 was a 134.3. Batch 15 is a 134.2. So very,
close.
very
So close.
similar in proof. It's the same foundation, both from the same distillery.
Totally
You know.
different barrels, though. They were kept separate.
Yep, kept separate, all that. So there's a drastic diversification in our in what we're sipping.
Yeah.
There we go, on the palate.
This 15 has there's a particular cola that I absolutely adore. It is all cola, like on the nose for me, and I love it. Love, love, love.
It's
So
got a slight bubblegum note on the nose.
So to me, 14 is very creamy. 14 is very sweet. 15 brings to the table of this dry note. Okay, this tannin note. Okay, it definitely sits tannins on the tongue, on the palate.
Well, that's Brian, but I really like the 15. I think it's deep, rich, and chewy.
Well, I'm not saying it's not deep, but there is some tannins there that wasn't in the 14. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's not as creamy, maybe, but you know, if you want something with a
It's-
lot of texture, I think I really don't get tannins on this. Maybe that's just me. You know, I get this.
I get a tannin texture for sure on this. It's on the palate.
So that word tannin, so from a wine perspective, isn't that different than from a whiskey perspective?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. You know, I don't like harsh tannins on my wine. My wines are silky. I think this is kind of a silky thing too. This has got so much char in it
This got a lot of oak.
and a lot of oak on it
Yeah,
and a lot
for
of
sure.
age on it. This, we've already, there's only four of us here, so we've kind of picked out which ones we liked. You know, there's a split camp. There's probably two people want the 14 and two people want the 15. You know, and that's done most of the time because why turn out two that taste exactly the same? I should just make a bigger batch. So I know there's two different palates out there, and so different times of the day I like different things, and so I mean I love creamy, but I love rich and deep too. So that's kind of where I'm at sometimes when I make these blends.
I'm with Mr. Carter here. So it is the time of the day. It's also what your mood of the day is too. You know, if I was sipping this at night, I probably would enjoy it better.
Yeah, this is a campfire pour.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you,
is
man.
kinda like-
This is at night. This is amongst the tree frogs, amongst the crickets. You got a little campfire going on.
Yep.
You know, and so yeah, if this were at night, I probably like this better. But during the daytime, I like that. I like that 14, man. That creamy, really nice. It just hits you. You know, it just calms the soul and eases the worries there.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll tell you what actually is in both of these batches. So
It's not a secret?
No. We are transparent.
No, we tell everybody what we did with these. So the 15 is actually 22 barrels, and 75% of those barrels are 19 years old whiskey, and or a 20, some 20 in there too. And the rest of that is the 25% is 10 years old. That's 15. 14 actually is 50% 19 and 20-year-old juice, and the other 50% is 10 years old. And getting into that, we've never used anything less than 7 years to speak, for our whiskey. 7 to 9 years is kind of sweet, but man, it was kind of fun blending these and tasting these through all these. That was like 60 different barrels I was tasting through to do these blends. And
How many were hazmat? I mean, you had to had at least a handful that were
5.
five.
very
I suppose.
few.
So I said a handful.
Yeah, very few.
You got it exactly right. There's 5 that was really, and there's one that I really like. And so that's going to be a club only.
So I'm going to tell the story on that one there, Mr. Tickler, Mark, Mr. Whiskey Tickler, Mark Carter. So I've been sampling through these with him, and I really appreciate that, Mark. I want to cheers to you on that.
You have to be part of the team,
and
too.
I really appreciate that. So I come in last Wednesday or Thursday, and we're sipping through these, and I walk in, and he just sits in front of me and goes, "You have to try this." I'm like, "All right." You never deny Mr. Carter when he gives you a whiskey, right?
Amen.
So,
You probably shouldn't.
no, you never do. No, shouldn't is out of the vocabulary. You should. You do not. So anyway, I come in. He sits in front of me, and I'm just silent. I smell it. And I'm like, yeah, this is dope. Yeah, this is DOPE, yo. And so, I don't let the cat out of the bag just yet. So I give it 3 sips and some time there on the old pallet there, and I set it down and I said, "Club, for sure." And he goes, "Absolutely." It was one of the most unique single barrels that I have tried in a very long time. 11-year age-dated juice. And this is one of the things I really want to bring up to the populace that doesn't really stand Old Carter. I have a saying here at Old Carter, because we can. Because we can is because we sip through things and we don't know what we are going to encounter until we do. And that's the beauty of the craftness of Carter. We don't understand what we have until we sip it. And when we do, everybody gets to enjoy and really celebratory sip on what we sip. Nothing's forced. We don't put things out because we have to. We put things out because we want to. And when it hits that certain palate, when it hits that certain craftness of Old Carter, that's why I'm with Mark. Is because it's not because we have to. It's because we want to and because we can. And that's what I want really the general audience to understand. They're sipping the craftness of Carter. They're not sipping on stuff that has to be made. We don't make things because we have to make it. We make it because we love it, and we want to bring that to the table to everybody, whether it be in the club or across the country.
One of the best stories is because we were going to do rye. We're supposed to do rye, and we tasted through the rye. We have it on the table. We're tasting the ryes, and we go, "This ain't ready." But we got these other things coming in. This bourbon here, and it's been in barrel for a long time. We tasted that bourbon. I go, "Oh my God, these are ready to go."
These are insane.
And that was batch 5 rye bourbon, And
Really? That's funny.
And
So
we switched from, we're supposed to do rye. We did bourbon because it was time. It was ready. It just spoke to us, just like this barrel I love.
Oh my gosh!
The other day, and
incredible.
I gave to Brian. And the best part about our single barrels that we're doing, that was double barreled too. So it wasn't just here's a barrel for you, that you can pick or whatever. We did something to it.
Yeah. So so it's a double barrel, single barrel is what it is. So that is
Of American whiskey, which is crazy.
No.
Okay, this is the bourbon.
This is bourbon.
Yeah. Let's differentiate. Yeah. So this is not what we're sipping on. This is the club release.
Gotcha. That's coming up.
The 11-year age stated that's coming to the club. So it has the Carter process, what I call the whiskey tickler, which is Mr. Mark Carter. So I've always said this. When I first came in, I was like, "Mark, we need to do a double barrel, single barrel," and it is truly that. It is a barrel that came in. We put that into another barrel, and it just absolutely flourished. We opened it up. We made it. We rebirthed it, and it is absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait to have that for our members in our club. I'm so happy that Mr. Carter presented that to me, and we can
240 bottles.
240 bottles that we can have our club members experience really what Old Carter is as a double barrel, single barrel.
Something that I've really taken from all this conversation, when you all are tasting through things, the thing that comes to mind is we need to share this.
Oh, of course.
It did,
Whoa,
but
whoa, whoa,
it-
whoa. That's the one thing.
That-
We never keep things to ourselves. If it's good, share it. If it's good, let's bring it out. Because if it's good, then I love the whiskey industry because of this. If I and Mark and Old Carter do good, everybody does good. You know, rising tides, rises all ships. That's what I really enjoy. When we do good, everybody else does good. When Bardstown Bourbon Company, when Evan Williams, Heaven Hill, whatever you want to call it, when they do good, we do good. So if we can put good juice out there, that makes people want to explore good juice. That makes people want to enjoy good juice. And that's what it's about. Ultimately, it's not about Old Carter. Ultimately, it's not about any distilleries. Ultimately, it's about the juice and how that juice really brings together people. And that's what it's about. And that's why we're here. That's why you're doing the podcast right now.
100%. 100%. So, Mark, I got a question for you. This is one that was sent to me after we did our last interview. That's how long I've been holding on to this question,
I love
which is
it.
crazy.
That's great.
So I had a guy send me a question, and I said, you know what? I don't know. I said, but the next time I talk to Mark and we get him on the show, I'm going to ask him. He's like, well, great. So here it is. So when you decide to double oak a barrel, is it because it's missing something, or do you just go in blindly and like, hey, let's just take these 50 barrels and double oak them or double barrel them, and then we'll come back and see whatever happened? So how do you choose which barrels are going to be double barreled and which ones are not being double barreled?
Well, when we get a large enough, shipment of barrels that we love, maybe we get 100 barrels, we know that we're going to use probably 30% of those as double barreled. And so we'll put 30% into double barreling, so I have, more flavors to choose from. We can't go through and taste everything. So, this is missing this is missing this. So just take this portion of it, because most of them are going to be tasting somewhat similar at this point, And so, it's
So
not
it is
like,
more of an indiscriminate process.
Well, no. To a point.
To a point,
I'm gonna break in here.
Yeah.
So what we do is we taste an X amount of percentage of the lots that we buy.
right.
yeah.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah. Well, but
Well, we taste every
we
every
taste-
lot that we buy.
Yeah, we taste every lot that we buy.
Right.
So so it's marginalized to where we know that those barrels are going to meet our palates, and I'm stealing this from Mark. Mark goes, I can make a good barrel taste better, and that's what we do. So that's the craftness in the process of Old Carter, because we do taste X amount of samples from each lot. So there is a lot more sampling that goes on than most places. I'm not going to say every place because I don't know what goes on there, but we are very extensive on how we select our barrels because we taste a lot of barrels from each lot.
Well, one of the things that happens too is it's going to be, sometimes it's 6 months and sometimes it's 3 years. And what's going to happen in that amount of time, who knows until you taste them again.
Right.
It's, some of the ones I'm using right now have been in, barrel again for over 2.5 years. So on the double barreling part of it. So, it's, you just have to try them again.
Are you trying to begin at like 6, 12 months?
So we periodically taste them.
Yes.
And so we ask, we periodically taste all of our double barrelings within an X amount of month process. And the ones that we feel like they're ready, we'll
Go
bring
ahead and
them
move
out.
forward.
And blend them. And the ones we don't, we'll just keep them, we'll keep them getting better.
The more I keep sipping on 15 booth, I think you're sleeping on 15 a little bit. I think I'm agreeing with Mark.
Oh, man.
I think I'm agreeing a little bit more
I
with Mark
know.
here.
See, I'm
and the only-
crushing you now.
I've went back and forth on this. So
It just depends.
I'll tell you this. In the daytime, I'm a batch 14 American. In the nighttime, so I've tried this one while smoking a cigar on my back patio with the fire going, and I'm like, damn, this is real. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that or
No,
not.
you're absolutely good.
Hell yeah.
That's fine.
So I'm like, wow, this
Hell
is
to the
this,
yeah.
this is. I'm like, man, Mark's on to something on this one, and then in daytime, I'm like, damn, I like that 14.
It's always a 50-50 split, but I think even that can change if the people are aware enough and just say, hey, what time of day is it?
Yeah, I agree.
How do I feel?
Yeah. And
And
that's
don't get
the
me
whole
wrong.
thing. And that's the whole thing too. If you're feeling lively and you're listening to some 90s rap there, 15 might hit a little harder than 14. If you're feeling a little mellow and a little creamy there, that
Yeah.
14 might
Might
soothe
be-
that soul a little bit more there.
Exactly.
So
Brian.
we listen. We hit all moods at all times of the day here at Old Carter.
A Booth, just so you know, so 90s rap is Scott's love language.
So
It's one of 'em.
If you,
Oh, it is.
if-
So when we've driven together, it's typically 90s rap, and he's singing it and dancing along
Oh,
and moving
dude.
around and talking about.
So last weekend, last Friday, last Thursday. It was last Thursday. So Big Bourbon Club, I got to give a shout out to Steve Higdon and what he has done there. Absolutely phenomenal man. He's brought together a lot of things. I don't mean to take away from anybody else with that, but I've got a lot of good friends in that group, and we have a lot of members in that group as well. So we went out that night, and I got challenged to sing EI by Nelly and to karaoke. So I'm a huge
Undulate.
mama EI. Oh,
My God.
what's
Dude, that is
popping
spring break
tonight?
for me.
So yeah, I'm showing my age now. But I got on stage and I nailed that song. I had about 20 people in front of me, and I called those guys out, and I had a blast. But 90s country, 90s rap, let's go. I mean, hey, I will do this. I'll put this out to the podcast community, to the interwebs out there. You want to you want to karaoke? You got a guy right here. You just invite me out. I got you. I got you, homies. I got you, fellers and fellerettes. Let's go.
So are you a sucker for cornrows and manicured toes?
What about apple bottom jeans?
Apple bottom. That's more 2000s. Yeah, I'm more 90s. The hardest karaoke song was a Nelly song, and that was "Batter Up." I did that once, and I'll never do it again. That was very difficult.
Batter up is not easy.
Batter up. I'm the first to swing. Anyway,
Now, isn't that technically the Saint Lunatics?
that's
that
Saint
did that?
Lunatic. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's Nelly with Saint Lunatic.
Yeah.
So all right, we're.
I love this.
I mean, Nelly came with them.
The Saint
all right?
Lunatics, yeah.
Right. If you want to,
Murphy Lee.
Murphy
Yeah,
Lee.
yeah.
So
Who would've
I'm
thought?
straight out of high school, right? So, but if I have to choose, my very most favorite karaoke song, I love you, Garth, but I do it better, homie. Rodeo.
Rodeo,
Brooks
really?
Rodeo. Oh yeah, man. I bring the thunder.
There you
without
go.
the thunder rolls on that song.
There we go.
I need to see this.
Listen, I'm thinking we're gonna have to coordinate a night.
I will.
Yes.
Listen, I put I
think-
put my karaoke where I sing it there.
Looks like the club's going to have a karaoke night.
I don't know about that, but we'll take it somewhere
Oh,
else.
come on.
No, this is too exclusive. No, I wouldn't. The one thing I really want this club to be is exclusive. So I've got. We'll bring it down to a serious note here. We all joke. I love having fun with this whiskey, but my club is my club. So I keep it very exclusive. I keep it very to my members because they pay a premium and they are the echelon of what is Oak Carter. So
Yeah.
I will not deviate from that club in how I treat my members. I've got a lot of great people in here, and I will always respect them. So if we're going to do big events, it will not be in here. It will only events we will do in here is for my club members.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, so speaking about the space, a couple minutes. Tell us about the space, location, because it's like this is my third time here. Mm-hmm. Gosh, my second time here. You walked out around the table because I was here with another group. You said you all are welcome to go anywhere, but do not take any pictures of anything that is on that back table.
Yeah.
And this happens to be the table that we're sitting at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we had all our sample bottles here back then.
Mm-hmm. So if I do not like any non-members to post anything of this club, because that's for my members. I respect my members. I want my members to understand that, and I will absolutely put my members first. I respect you in my space, but I will always respect my members first. So
That's fair.
Yeah. Listen, I put myself in my member's shoes every day. You know, I respect Old Carter. I respect what Old Carter is, and that's an upper echelon, and that's how I treat my members.
Man, I'm sniffing on this NC1.
So,
Man, it is a fruit bomb.
So, all right, we might as well.
Are we going to talk about this? Or we or
Yeah, we weren't,
do I need to?
but might as well do.
Are we going to sip on something else first?
No.
No,
this
let's
is,
talk. We can talk about this.
I think this might be our last rendition right here.
Yeah.
Last rendition.
Well, I mean that we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Yeah. So this
we,
was our.
We got 3 more hours. We're good. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I
We
can
are
talk.
good.
I love it.
You don't know who you're talking to here, homie. If you want to talk 3 hours, let's go.
LFG.
LFG.
So
yeah.
So this
LFG.
is North Carolina, and we're not in North Carolina yet, but we're gonna be in North Carolina sometime, and so we made this batch for North Carolina. We think they'd like it, and so it's a 5-barrel blend, and guaranteed there is a percentage of double barreling in here.
868 bottles, it looks like.
Yeah, so this is a very small batch. So this is our VSBs that go out to our distribution partners.
Yeah.
So everybody asks, well, I want a single barrel. I want a single barrel. Why? You don't want a single barrel. You want a very small batch.
It's way better.
You want something crafted. You want something that comes from the palate of the whiskey tickler himself, Mr. Mark Carter. That's what you want. You don't want just any barrel. You want a crafted, very small batch of Old Carter that no one else can get. Anybody can get single barrels. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Well,
It's a yes.
not anybody can. Not anybody can just get a single barrel of Oak Carter.
Well, but I'm just talking about a
Club
single
only.
barrel.
But yes, for just about any other distillery, you
Right.
can get a single barrel.
Yeah, you can get a single barrel, right? Now, the club only gets the upper echelon of Old Carter single barrels. But, we're not putting out 5, 6, 8 year single barrels. We're putting together, double single barrels out there that are crafted through Old Carter and Mr. Carter himself. So let's understand those single barrels itself as a compartmentalization of that, right? So even our single barrels are double barreled. So it's a double single barrel of what Mr. Carter put together himself and how he did it. So let's understand that first and foremost. Then let's go to the VSBs, the very small batches, right? That's a very, very small batch of 3 to 5 barrels that is crafted by Mr. Mark Carter right here. So, yeah, that's what you want. You don't want just one barrel of nothing. So that's what we bring to the table that no one else can. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
All right. So this release, so how many bottles in total?
800 and whatever it was.
897?
868.
868.
All right. And then, so how many barrels? Did you say 5
Five
barrels?
five
this?
barrels. Yeah,
5
5
barrels.
barrels. Yeah.
Gosh. And those barrels were of a certain age that met exactly where you wanted them?
There's most of this is at least 11 years old.
All right. So at 11 years old, how much are you going to lose in the barrel?
Half of it.
Yeah,
They're down to 27, gallons basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's a give and take there. Yes.
Yeah, yes. But my point is that when you look at the amount of bottles that are there for 5 barrels, you've paid a lot of money for the angel share.
Well, we paid a lot of money to double barrel it. We paid a lot
Yeah.
of money to bring those originals in, and we paid a lot of money to those 4 cooperages at a dry aged staves that make that barrel up with toasted heads at 2, 3, and 4 char. So, I mean, we're just not using one. We're not using one cooperage. We're using 4. We're not using one char. We're using 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're using 4 different chars from 4 different cooperages, and with toasted heads, and that are dry aged staves. So let's understand what that really means, even before we even go into double barreling that, right? So once we do that and bring that in, then we double barrel it, which takes time in itself, and then we let that age on its own with the original barrels, and then we get those samples on the table in front of us, and then you sample through all those, and then you take tasting notes on all those. Then you start putting those together.
This is like a movie that I saw.
No, this is a documentary that needs to be documented that no one understands. So when you put all that together, this is more crafted juice than anybody really understands or realizes until you really start getting to the nuts and bolts and foundation of what this juice is. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to advocate, understand, and to educate on what Old Carter is, how it's crafted, and the time and effort that is taken into not only, the barrels, but each individual bottle and the time that it takes for that one bottling. That's insane.
And I think there's a huge misconception in the market that companies that are choosing to double barrel, double oak, they're taking whiskey that's not good enough on its own and trying to make it sellable. Whereas you all are taking, I believe you said Mark can take a really good whiskey and make it great.
He can take a really good barrel and make it better.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it shows that what you all are doing, that you're taking this whiskey that is wonderful on its own, you're making it that much better, and then you're going the extra step to do, like, you're blending magic.
So it's called the Carter process. Yeah.
I'm not a big finish guy except if it's a brand new barrel that's charred.
And that in itself is not finishing. That is double barreling.
Exactly.
So let's understand what
It's the
finishing
Marxess.
is. Well, I call it the Carter process. This is the whiskey tickler. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let you go, Mark.
There's a lot of people, take young juice. You can take young juice and you can actually put it in all kinds of different, barrels, different, if it was, maybe sherry cask or whatever, that's fine. That's not what we do, at Old Carter. It's not saying we wouldn't try it, but that's, I just love bourbon the way it should be, and it should just be in an oak barrel.
And so we're not. So one thing I want to, reiterate here: we're not taking away from anybody that finishes.
No.
Listen, everybody has their own palate. All whiskey's great. Okay, it's just what people enjoy better. And what people no
Not all whiskey's great.
I disagree.
All whiskey is enjoyed by somebody.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's what I mean. All whiskey's great to somebody. Okay,
That's fair.
And I will absolutely go to my grave with that. And that's what I really enjoy about this industry, is that we bring together so many palates, so many people across so many, different cultures that really enjoy what they enjoy. And that's what I love. That's why I'm in this. If you don't like Old Carter, that's fine. As long as you like another whiskey, that's what I want. All right? Because when everybody else does good, we do good. When we do good, everybody else does good. That's why I'm in this. I'm an advocate for the juice. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
All whiskey's good.
But I got to say one thing, we never cut, we never filter. And if I ever put any water in a whiskey, Brian Booth told me a long time ago, he said,
this is before I was even, my first week.
I'm quitting immediately because we like foolproof, and, that's what we are, cast strength. And if he sees me trying to cut it, he's quitting.
Yeah. So
if I ever want to get rid of him, I just put some water in it. It'll be great.
But
So this one's oddly it's much lower proof.
this one,
The NC one.
so this is a bourbon.
Oh, yeah. It is a bourbon. That's correct.
Yeah. This is
A 5-barrel blend of bourbon.
Yep, 5-barrel blend of bourbon. Yeah,
I love what's happening now.
Yeah.
Because some of the secret to the sauce is behind the scenes.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, absolutely. And
right.
yeah, I was.
right.
So I was. Yeah.
This is like Grammy's Sunday gravy.
Like which it's how the sausage gets made, right?
No.
That's how everything. That's how everything gets made.
Dude, Sunday gravy is the best because you can dip into it all day long, and
That's
it's
right.
freaking delicious.
I think it went down the wrong pipe for poor Mark over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
No. So this is a very great bourbon that's meticulously crafted by Mark Carter. So
What else we got to drink?
yeah. So Anyway,
I will say
I do love this.
the fruit on the nose doesn't come through quite as much on the palate. It's more of a sweet floral note that's really, really delicate and nice, and I really like. But like, I was shocked that the fruit didn't come through a little bit more on the note, on the actual palate versus the nose.
So this is a really, to me, more of an herbal sweetness.
Yeah.
That's what I think this is.
There's almost a tea in the background.
Yeah. So this is a very unique little whiskey here. So
It's got a little tingle to it.
for all of our listeners out there,
It's definitely got some oak.
So all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey's bourbon, right?
100%.
So there we go. So I still to this day have to explain that, and I'm absolutely okay explaining that. So yeah, this is a bourbon whiskey. It's got more of a I like that. It's more of like a sweet tea, and that's the reason why we kind of chose it for North Carolina, because you got that sweet tea note. They're from the South. It's really nice. It tickles where it needs a tickle, and it's complex where it needs to be complex. So
It's really sweet.
yeah, I really enjoy that about this.
It's got a really, really nice oak profile, though. Like, especially on that mid palate.
Yep, I like that.
I get Pez candy, a little bit of rock candy. It's got some.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I also appreciate that. So I refer to it as a Babe Ruth, how he's known for calling a shot.
Oh,
So you put a bottle together for a market.
I like that. Call your shot. There we go.
Yep. Yes, you
Call
put a
that home
bottle.
run.
He just points like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's but you did.
Home run.
Yeah. But you parted. But you pointed kind of.
Yeah.
You one coast and then down a little bit to the state itself, and you're like, hey, this is going to be for you.
So we're meticulous in how we, and that's another thing. When we're tasting through our VSBs, especially for our distribution partners, we like to differentiate those. Like for Louisiana, we like to give a little spice to them. With California, a little sweetness, so forth and so on. So it's that meticulous craft of not only the juice, but also that meticulous craft of the palate that we want to introduce and keep that consistency going for our distribution partners in those certain states.
Yeah, they have a profile they want, and we try to, get something close. When we blend bourbon, it's kind of like wine for us. Everything's going to be a little bit different because we don't have 5,000 barrels of the same thing. So everything we do is going to be like a vintage. And that we thought about that years ago when we did Kentucky Owl. It said everything will be unique, but it will have, a feeling, a taste there that you'll know it's Old Carter, and that's what we're shooting for all the time. When you taste one of our whiskeys, you'll say, hey, that is so Old Carter, and that's what all we're shooting for. It's got the sweetness, the complexity, the aromatics, the depth, the richness.
Very romantic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it
whoa,
really.
whoa, whoa,
it
whoa.
re-
No. It's intimacy. It's intimacy.
Ooh, that's fair.
Oh,
Whoa.
Gosh.
I'm gonna bring to the table.
Getting sexy now.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring to the
Booze
table.
is
Bringing
back.
sexy back, yeah.
I'm going to bring to the table what Old Carter and Mark Carter brings to the industry that very little, I'm not going to say we're the only ones, but very little, we bring intimacy to the whiskey. We bring intimacy to the palates. We bring intimacy to the groups of people that enjoy, that value, and that really camaraderie of whiskey. And that's the intimacy of what we do. The intimacy of not only bringing really great, complex, beautiful juice to the table, but we also bring the people to the table that enjoy this juice. We bring to the table intimacy of people, and that's what bourbon and whiskey do, and we do it really well.
Booth. So how many pallets are between the barrel to the bottle?
Oh, very little. Maybe 4,
Yeah,
5.
we don't, I'll blend, and then I'll have a few people taste them, line them up blind. It always has been this way.
Yeah. So
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And when you do the blind tasting, it's always good. I'll even mix it up. And if everybody agrees on the same one, if it's got 3 out of 4, that's
Let's
probably
go.
the winner. You know, if it's 4 out of 4, you definitely have the winner.
So Mark brings me in. We taste and things like that with other people. You know, there's basically 4 of us.
yeah.
That's what we do.
A lot of jealousy happening right now. Because
There's
Scott
really-
and I are not part of the 4.
Yeah. So there's really 4 of us, and we really meticulously try to understand what we want to bring to our. I have members in the club, but more importantly, whoever tastes our whiskey, whether it be bourbon, rye, Kentucky whiskey, our single barrels, you are my clients. Okay, you are my client. You're not a consumer. You're my client, and that's what I want to bring to the table. So many people have customers and consumers. Nope. We meticulously craft this whiskey across the board, whether it be bourbon or non-bourbon, that you are my client. You can call me anytime. Look me up. You can call me anytime, and I answer. So that's the intimacy of Old Carter to you. And I'm that's an invitation right now to give me a call anytime.
Dude, I want to drink more.
I know. I feel like I'm missing.
I
my glasses are
know.
empty.
I keep on looking around the room like, all right, that bottle's got some in it. That bottle's got. Is there any?
Well, this one is almost dry. There is a little bit left.
There's just a
in
sippy sip left in there. I didn't see
yeah,
one.
I can't finish.
So
the
we
bottle.
could do something very special, Mark.
there. Okay.
You want to end with something special?
Sure.
You want to do this?
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, you grab something. I'm going to ask Mark. I'm going to ask him which babies are his favorite babies throughout the years. You have give me 2 bottles or 2 batches or 2 something that you feel like were extremely special.
Well, I have a new one, which is a rye that we did a couple of years ago, but it meant so much to me last year. It is Rye 12. If you haven't ever had Rye 12, that is a rye that is also totally double barreled. And Jeb Dunnick gave it 100 points. One of the few whiskeys out there that's ever got 100 points on it. And I love the richness of that rye. And I was so happy last year. When he gave the 100 points, it was when I was bottling the wine, and he's also given us 100 points on our wine too. But I've never turned the wine into him or the whiskeys into him, and he ended up loving it so much that he gave it 100 points. Last time anybody got a 99 on a whiskey was actually Pappy, I guess, from Robert Parker in the wine industry. So just that's one of my favorites right now. I love drinking 12. If I can find a 12 rye, you should try that. Also the 5, batch 5 bourbon is one of my favorites. Batch 15 is also one of my favorites. American whiskey 4, since it was 139.6.
I was about to say that one was tasty as all get out too.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
And that's why I like these 14s and 15s. They're very. I tried to make these
Oops.
like the 3 and 4, and I think they come close. And so these are I'm digging on both these.
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, when you're blending, when you all have samples that are blended together,
Yeah.
do you have previous releases available? If you're like, this tastes just. Or this,
I have to do that.
Yep.
Because people want that consistency as close as you can get it, but it's always going to be different.
And is it a taste or does it feel? Because I'm big on some whiskeys. I don't know if I describe it as a taste. It gives me a feeling.
Yeah, that me is all about feeling.
Yeah.
When I know I've hit where I'm supposed to be at, it does raise the hair on the back of my arm or my neck, and I'm going to. That hits the perfect note. It's ready.
Yep.
I'm digging on this thing. It's like perfect.
That's
Time to
amazing.
bottle.
Yeah, it's amazing when it happens because you kind of have the nod of the head.
And you get a couple of, like even woo, woo, woo.
Holy crap! Yes.
Well, that's the craftness of Old Carter.
Yeah.
That's what we strive to hit every time, and that's why we
Yeah.
compartmentalize every batch. Every batch is not like the same, but we always get the same feeling from every batch. Yeah. That's what we strive to hit. That's what we strive to do, and that is the craftness in the process of Old Carter.
So Booth, what are we sipping on? What's the surprise?
So, right now we dug into the vault here. Yeah.
Hey, share the story how you acquire this, because I heard. Because I heard the story on Saturday. And I'm like, come on now.
Oh, I dug deep here. I did. So we want to really have people understand all of our SKUs, right? So we didn't have a lot. We don't have a lot of rye. We don't have a lot of bottles of anything.
We don't actually have anything except, if we're lucky, 1 to 12 of anything we did, and some of the times not even that. I'm the kind of guy that I'll go back and buy stuff so I have something to show people.
Mark buys bottles of his product back, not only to share with people, but also to blend with. So I want the populace to know that we sell 99%, 98% of everything that
99.9 actually.
we sell nearly everything that we craft and put into a bottle.
Yeah, we don't hold back.
We hold nothing back.
And that all that money, the money we generate goes into buying new barrels and distilling and all the things we
all
need
the processes. Yeah, barrels, process, club, everything. It is reinvested into itself. So I just want everybody to know out there that we are for you, we are crafted for you, and we just want to make great juice for you.
When you said that we sell everything, I keep on going back to, you choose to share everything.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, we sell out of everything. We don't keep nothing back for ourselves. We are not greedy at all.
That's discipline.
Well, no. That's whiskey. That's what should be whiskey.
That's share.
It's sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring. And I know that I know that's so cliche and so.
No, it is not cliche at all.
It's kind of cheesy, but
it might be cheesy, but it's not cliche, man.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy. Anyway, we share because we care, and that truly stands out in what we do. So, when it was digging out a rye that I wanted to share with people, it took. I was on the phone with Mr. Carter here for almost 15 minutes, going, "Wow, man."
We don't have anything.
We don't have anything. Like, what do we do? Yeah. And so, I was like, I think we're going to have to just tap into one of the 12s here. And he's like, all right, just do rye number 2. I was like, okie dokies. So that's what we did. And so what we're drinking on is actually a little vaultal, what we call a little vault here. This is the rye batch 2. This is one of 2 batches that came out in as the first release back in 2018. Early 2018, very first batches 1 and 2. So let's cheers to the beginning. We're cheersing to 2 beginnings here. I love this. Oh my gosh, wow.
Slancha for sure.
No. So let's do this. We're cheersing to 2 beginnings. The beginning of what Old Carter was and what Old Carter is today. So cheers, gentlemen. Cheers to you all out in the interwebs world, fellers and fellerettes,
Thank you,
ladies
guys.
and gentlemen.
Really appreciate you guys being here.
I really want to thank these 2 gentlemen for bringing light to Old Carter in the beginning and bringing light to Old Carter in what we are now and what Old Carter is going to be in the future. So thank you all. Cheers to that. Cheers, most definitely, more importantly, to the juice, to everybody out there in the whiskey land that enjoys us and everybody else. Cheers to all the distilleries. We couldn't do this without any of you all. So the legacy distilleries that are out there, you paved the path for us. All right. Everybody's one for all in this. So I love that.
This is tasty.
This is very unique.
I told you before we got on air, I had batch 1 and I was prepared to bring it, but I could not find it in the cubby. Like there's a cubby little section that's underneath my basement stairs.
So this is a craft rye. The profile, you are literally consuming Old Carter history right here. This will not.
2014, 18 on this
2018.
one.
So this juice is what this juice is, and this is the consumable history of Old Carter.
Yeah. The fact that it doesn't have that crazy mint that some of these ryes give off, it's just so good.
I know it is. It's not mint. It doesn't go dill, but it's got this mouthfeel.
So this is a 95.5.
But when you go like for the
Indiana.
Kentucky Chew, it lights up again. This is interesting. So 95.5.
95.5, Indiana.
Larry-
Cheers, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Cheers
And-
for sure.
And like I said, cheers out there to the men and women, fellers and fellerettes, to the whiskey land. We couldn't do this without you. Please, please, please keep doing what you're doing. We love you all.
All right, I want to be respectful of your all's time. So,
Dude, I want to keep on drinking with them.
well,
This is some fun shit.
well, we can keep on drinking, but we have to be respectful and not make this episode go like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
You're editing.
100%. But also, we might want to talk about some stuff that maybe they don't want to talk about on air, right? So
I'll
Football,
tell you this, Mr.
basketball.
Card and I, Mr. Card and I are not opposed to any questions that you or anybody else that has out there in whiskey land.
fair enough. So if they want to ask a question, they can always email it to bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. But if they want to ask you directly, how do they get a hold of you, Booth?
Google Old Carter Whiskey Company. That's my number.
Google Old Carter Whiskey
Call
Company. That
me.
is my number.
Yeah, that's my number right here.
And we do answer all our
All
emails,
emails, yep.
that come in through
Yep,
info. At Old Carter.
And Mark mentioned this when we were off air, and I'm just going to let people know. So, like, if you want to be part of the Old Carter Club, like, there's a wait list, right? So, like,
Very extensive late.
a very extensive wait list. So, hopefully that will be remedied in the future.
So we got a third floor going in.
Yep.
If anybody wants to be on that wait list, my suggestion to you is do not email me. Call me or text me. My number's right there on Google.
Old school.
Old school. Yeah.
8675309.
8675309. No, seriously, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Text me, call me, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to be in this club, and I'll get you on the wait list. I promise. We got a third floor going in, and we're taking this to just like Old Carter is an upper echelon whiskey. We're taking this club to the heights of where Old Carter is where it is and is going to be.
There's a couple of boxes up here that I'm a little disappointed that they have way too many bottles just sitting in them. Like maybe they haven't been drinking enough.
Well,
I'm not going to call out which numbers they are.
So we've got an extensive. So
There's people from all over the U.S. that are members, and some of them have never been here.
That's so
actually.
crazy.
yeah,
And they just
They
keep
didn't make the pilgrimage.
They just keep buying bottles. I can't wait to see a couple of these guys that ran out of space, and we have to have an extra locker
I mean,
for them.
there's one locker up here right now. I'm counting. There's got to be 9 bottles in there.
oh, there's one in here that's 16 bottles.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Plus
I can't
a-
see all the way
plus a-
back. I mean, I'm sitting at a weird angle. So, like I said, I mean, there's a crazy number of bottles in some of these lockers.
But
so.
a lot of people come and enjoy what we do here with Booth, and tasting through what the new releases are, and that's how how it kind of works there.
So to let everybody know what kind of exclusive and intimate space this is, we've had less than 100 people up here thus far since 2022. That's significant.
That's pretty crazy to think. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, there's 190 something,
No, there's 216 lockers.
216 lockers, and
Yeah.
only 100 and something people have been up here.
Less than.
Yeah.
There's been less than 100 people up here.
A
That's
lot-
crazy.
If
And-
you
and
can't,
since 2022.
yeah, and if you can't get here, a lot of the people know each other. They will actually pick up for their friends. All they have to do is, send an email saying, "I'm going to pick up for my friend," and we let them have the whiskeys that they, and we actually make sure with a locker member that
We check IDs.
yeah,
We check IDs. We call. I do an extensive little background thing there. So yeah, anybody can mule anything for everybody.
I love the Baby 375 sitting in some of these bad boys. 'Cause
Oh, you should-
that was like a one-time release, right?
Oh, whoa! There's 100 mils in here too.
Yeah.
we'll
Really?
never do that again. That was
375s, and especially for our some of the really old. We have 20-year-old Kentucky juice that has to be broken down into 375s. If
There could be more
for the
than
club.
20 year there, Mr. Carter.
Well, yeah, we got way older than that of American whiskey, but bourbon.
Yeah,
we got
bourbon. Yeah,
20-year-old bourbon, Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah, we've got a little bit more there that that's a little bit elder in age. That there's a lot of interesting and expansive, explorational releases coming out to the club. And I want to make a shout out to all my club members. Thank you.
Yeah, Booth does love the club members, and he really takes care of all of them when they come in.
I appreciate that, Mr. Carter. I put myself in your all shoes every single day. And you are my most valuable resource. And I really appreciate every single locker member of today, of yesterday, into the future. So thank you all. I really want to say that right now. And I really want to shout out to Mr. Carter, a.k.a. the Whiskey Tickler, that I couldn't do this. I never could have done this without you. So I really appreciate that. Cheers.
Well,
cheers, Mr. Carter.
Brian Booth, I am so happy you're back and in charge of
Thank you.
the club.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
For sure.
Old Carter
And
Club.
I want to take a minute and appreciate these two young gentlemen of the
Yeah, we're just screaming young.
Miller High Life 750.
Oh my gosh. Listen.
Well, now you
listen,
got his heart.
If you see me out, and about, all right, I'm the elusive Booth, but if you see me out and about, I will probably be sipping on a Miller High Life pony there.
Little pony.
They're
The
so
old
good.
champagne of beers.
Yeah, Champagne.
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 Yes.
Champagne beers.
So for folks that want to follow Old Carter, want to do things, want to visit, that type of thing, they can go to oldcarterwhiskey.com.
Whoa. Hold on. Let's differentiate
Hold
there.
on,
Okay.
wait a minute.
Yeah. So there's no visiting Old Carter. There's no visiting hours or nothing like that. So I
Gotcha.
want to nip that in the bud. We're total transparency here at
Yep.
Old Carter.
Yep.
I don't want to, promise anything that's not promised. So we don't have any experience. We don't sell any bottles. We don't do anything like that here. It's just the club. The only way you can get into the club is to make sure you're on the wait list. So that's it. That's the only experience that you can have, and there's no bottles, there's no tours, nothing like that. So just want to make that clear.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Yep.
If they have questions, you said hit you up, text you, whatever.
Google Old Carter. It's my
just
number.
Google Old Carter.
Text me, call me.
Fair.
Do not email me. Email info if you want to, but if you want to know it from
Will get an answer. We do answer.
Yeah. So Mark answers on info. I will answer my texts and phone calls all day.
All right, but you heard it from the mouth of the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Booth.
I'm not Mr. No Mr. Just Booth.
Just Booth.
Yeah.
Mr. Brian Booth.
Yeah.
Brian Booth. Brian Booth.
Just elusive Booth here.
BB, baby.
Yeah. B squared.
The funniest
Squared.
thing is when we bottle, by hand downstairs, we do have some stories that sometimes things would happen,
God.
and bottles would fall, and we'd always know it was Booth. So now we just shout out anytime anything goes wrong, we just go Booth.
Yeah.
Booth. Booth.
Yeah.
Oddly enough,
everything is blamed on me. I'm okay with that.
He's got big shoulders.
I was helping bottle. I've helped bottle more than one time for sure, but one time I was helping, and one of our friends of the crew may have knocked over like 6 bottles at one time, and I was scared to death that something was going to break. Oddly enough, nothing did. But man, talking about like heart palpitations, like they were just yeah, exactly. It was like slow motion, like
I will
freaking
tell you this, Mr. Carter right here, he can put out some major bottles when he is feeling, man. So I'll tell you this, I was doing so. If you had bottles in your hand that were corked from 2023. From 2022, that was my hands.
You're pushing it down.
I was my hand on all of those bottles, 98% of those bottles. Yeah, I was the corker for sure.
We are truly a hand bottled, whiskey.
So I'm
made
gonna,
by hand, everything.
Batch
labeled
10.
by
Mr.
hand.
Carter, I'm gonna bring this up right now. I have always joked about this. I've never ever said anything like this over the air or to the public, but I'm going to right now.
Coming to you first.
Yeah,
Time
no shit.
ever.
I can't wait for this one.
I joked about it every time we bottle. I say you haven't corked unless you have a cork bowl.
Oh yeah.
So what I mean by that is we literally had a mixing bowl, a massive mixing bowl that
Beautiful white bowl with little black handles.
Yeah, it was a mixing bowl for corks.
That's funny.
And that's where I gathered my corks. I'm sorry. That's where I gathered old Carter corks to cork your bottle. And I always joked, I was the only one to go into a distillery going, hey, where's your cork bowl at?
It's funny. There's a lot more cork bowls out there than you know.
Hey, listen. Hey.
Dun-dun-dun.
Whoa. Shout out to all the cork bowlers out there. Because I feel your pain, homies and homiettes. All right? Fellas and fellerettes, I feel your pain.
So batch 10 of the bourbon, I bet I put on 60% of the banana boats.
Oh yeah,
Banana labels.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah.
yeah, we have some strange names for all those things.
Yeah, we
how
do.
about that little thing on the top there that we put on the top of the
Tax strips are horrible.
Yeah.
They never stick.
pass the seal, the little plastic seal. What do we
Yeah, the
call it?
seal the seal will burn your thumbs at least 45 times in one sitting there.
The tax strips they just don't stay down.
All right.
Not
So-
not
Whoa,
until
whoa,
you
whoa.
heat them up with that.
Hold
you
on,
know.
hold
Yeah.
on. Let's understand why, right? Mr. Carter.
They're hand
has-
bottled, hand
Well,
labeled.
No. Those labels and those tax strips are super hefty labels. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of money spent in those. All right. I'm blaming the adhesive versus what we spend on the actual heaviness of the actual paper. That
Paper's
is
really heavy, yeah.
The paper and also the labels are almost embossed.
Yeah.
All right. They
They
actually
are.
have
They are.
they have a relief on them. Absolutely. So we spend so much money on the labels, the bananas, the tax strips.
the bananas.
Oh, it's the bananas, baby.
It's a collar, actually.
It's
yeah.
a collar. yeah.
It's bananas.
I just call them banana boats,
Yeah.
is what I call
It-
them.
Yeah,
it's
we-
not a.
Yeah,
okay.
don't church it up, dirt.
Yeah. You've got to get it up high enough when you put it
Yeah.
on there.
Anyway.
Otherwise, it wrinkles.
So if you want to
So-
find Oak Carter, you can go to www.
Whoa. Hold on. When you say find old Carter,
is-
it makes it
I'm saying if you want to find it on the internet, if you want to find out more information, if you want to find things, if you want to find Oak
you
Carter,
cannot find bottles.
fair enough.
Okay, good.
But if you want to find them, if you want to find out more about Oak
Research.
Carter and how
Yes.
to get things
Follow.
and what to do, where do they do that, Booth?
Just call me.
Just call you.
Call or
don't
text.
go to the internet. Don't look up.
I mean, you
Oak
can go to
Carter
the
Whiskey
interwebs.
Company.com.
Oh, yeah.
What's the
definitely.
website?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go the interwebs.
Just go to the
It's-
interwebs.
Yeah.
This man is hard.
Yeah, I'm a
Tell me you're
91
older without telling me you're older.
Yeah, I'm a 91-year-old trapped in a 42-year-old
I was about
body.
to say this guy's like a
Old Carter.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
I don't
Whiskeycode.com.
do not
You can
email
go
me.
there.
Do not email me.
All right. Our millennials are going shit crazy right now.
You are not lying.
Who is
Yeah.
this man?
Yeah, I'm
I'm like, why would I call
I'm a
this
boomer.
person?
I'm a boomer in a 42-year-old
Jesus.
body right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Fair
a
enough.
reason why
I-
I'm with this guy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm an old soul, old school body. All
All right,
right.
this is how we're going to end this then. If you want to talk to somebody at Oak Carter, you just Google it. You look for the number, and when you find it, you either text that bad boy or you call that bad
There you
boy,
go.
and Booth will answer you.
Amen.
Fair enough.
Fair
if
enough.
you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, the Instagram, or the X. And you can also email me at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. If you have another question that you want me to ask Mark or Brian or anybody else in the whiskey industry, you can do that there. Or you can instant message me on Facebook, Instagram, and I'll be glad to get back to you. By the way,
I'm gonna end this with you, Minton, Brian. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
No,
it.
thank you,
Absolutely.
man.
Thank you
Cheers.
for coming in
Cheers
and
cheers
trying
to
the
you.
old- yeah.
Cheers to you all. Really advocating the
Yeah.
whiskey industry, whiskey talk, and whiskey education. Thank you all.
fair enough. Appreciate it.
Great to see you guys again.
That's us on Bourbon Barrel Talk. This is Scott, Brian, Booth, and Mr. Mark Carter signing off. Peace.
To infinity.
Thank you.